bunch of things on my mind. And I keep meaning to make videos about them, but because I haven't really talked to anybody, I haven't really processed a lot of it in truly deep and insightful ways. But here is a jumbled mess of thoughts to some degree. How I think as adults sometimes we forget that children are children, that they won't understand you the way you want them to because their brains aren't done developing. There's only so much they can grasp. And children, and we've all been children, so when I speak about them, think about when you were a child. Children have a habit of believing that everything that happens around them is because of them. Good, bad, doesn't matter, other people. As children, we take that stuff on and believe that it was us somehow. How you treat children. Okay, I look at it this way. They watch your actions. You can't tell a child, do as I say and not as I do. That doesn't set them up well for life at all. They learn through your actions, not by what you're saying. So you can say, it's like something I read the other day about white privilege and whatnot. You know, in white families, when you grow up, no, yes, you know, we believe in equality and all of that, but if you spend your time griping and moaning about anybody that is different from you, let's go that way, then it doesn't matter what you say. You know, you teach, especially in a marriage, how a husband and wife treat each other is how we as children learn to know how to treat the opposite sex and how to be treated by the opposite sex. So if there's resentment, if you can't communicate with your spouse, and it's always sort of tense and terse, or if there's resentment, let's use resentment. In my first marriage, I had a lot of resentment. And my children were learning, my son was learning, because of my inability to set boundaries and my inability to overgive and not teaching people the correct way to treat me. You know, he was inadvertently learning that it's okay to treat women the way my husband is treating me. And it is women, my daughter, I didn't want my daughter to learn that it was okay to be treated like that, let's say. Okay? And resentment's a small thing. But in all things, this is what they do. This is how they learn. I think this is why they say girls marry people that are like their dads. I think that has something to do with it. And so it's wildly important that you show with action. I think that a lot of... See, I don't know if it's outside the United States or not, but I can say that inside of the United States, there's a lot of emotional immaturity. Integrity is actually something very hard to find. And just like love, there's that old adage that if you want love, you have to give it first. The same with integrity. You if you stand around screaming and angry and we want you to be, you know, we want you to be fair to us, we want you to have integrity, but you don't do it for other people. If there's no one out there doing the action, how is anybody else supposed to learn what it looks like and how to have it, and responsible, like your emotions, responsible ways to use your emotions. If you're a person, like I'll use me, I used to have a lot of anger, and when I would get upset, and this one was, it took me a long time to really actually see this, that when I was getting upset, what was upset for me looked like rage to other people. And they were always caught sort of off guard, and that never made any sense to me, because I'm nowhere close to rageful, but that's how I was perceived on a large percentage. And so my children, before I learned and corrected the behavior, what they learned when they were feeling distressed was to be angry. When they're feeling if you spend all your time not taking accountability because you don't actually know what integrity is, accountability for your actions, then your children won't be able to. They won't know how to. They're not seeing it. Just telling them to doesn't make a difference. And so you have to. They're the next generation. They're humans. When I had children, they're not my children. At no point, I love them dearly. I just dropped off my 8-year-old. But he's not really mine, right? None of my children are really mine. They're individual humans. And I understood that when they were being born. It's my responsibility, because I chose to have them, it's my responsibility to raise them with what I feel are the best things needed to be able to survive and thrive in life and be happy. Right? I fail in other areas. But as parents, we impart what we feel is the most important. That they're their own people. They're their own people. Yes, it took half of my genetic makeup, but they're born their own people. But we don't treat them like that. You know, I know that there are plenty of people with kids, you know, because they want to have friends. Or because that's the thing to do, like an extension of themselves. And genetically, absolutely they are, and emotionally, how you're raised matters. But you only have them for like 18 years. You have, the first 5 years are really important in building their foundation. And then you have until, I think they're 12. By 10 to 12 years old is when parents stop having the biggest influence and it switches over to friends. And so by the time that they're 12, you hope you've instilled enough that they choose people and that they choose stuff that's healthy for them and will help them, not hurt them. I feel like we all sort of fail when it comes to our emotions. Just because you feel a certain way, like right now, just because I feel sad doesn't necessarily mean that I am sad. Okay? If I take the feeling I'm having right now and allow it to really take hold, it will alter my entire day and my present, and then everything I see will be kind of through that sadness. I can recognize that it's sad. I can recognize that sometimes, all the times, I don't.
In half a mile, turn right onto County Road 64.
Okay. All the times. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Well, you're gonna listen to my garment.
Take the next right onto County Road 64. Continue on County Road 64 for 7 miles.
I can have my feelings, and I can feel my feelings, but I don't have to allow them to hijack my day. I don't have to allow them to hijack that time. If I do that, then I'll, like right now, because of Gabe, I'll be crying. And when I drop him off, this is how this works. When I drop him off, I don't want him to spend the rest of the day crying. I want him to make stories and have experiences, and so he has things that he can share with me when I see him again. That's what's important to me. ability to choose how you feel. You have the ability, and just because you, like right now, just because like, yeah, I'm feeling sad, I'm not ignoring it, and I'm not going like, oh, just toss that away. Although it is, but it's more like placing it in a bowl and letting it float down a river and going like, I respect that I feel that way. I respect that I feel that way, but it will hijack my day, so I have to let it go, so that I'm not caught in that bear trap. So that I can still be, so that I can be productive, so that I can be, life is hard. That's the thing. Life is messy, and life is hard. You are all going to suffer. You're going to suffer. We all suffer. We all suffer. Sometimes all the stories are different, but the amount of suffering and suffrage and the way that we feel suffering is shared. And you know, you find the people that have suffered, the most are almost always the kindest and the most giving, because they know what it's like to suffer that bad. But you don't get through life. Even somebody who, let's say, you know, somebody who has Paris Hilton, somebody who has a ton of money, somebody who is raised, who never had to do any of that stuff for themselves, and they always have security and whatever, they're still gonna suffer. It'll just be in a different way, but it's no less than what other humans suffer. Yes, some humans suffer more. It takes some of us longer to see our own actions and be accountable. It took me, I'm 44. Actually, I'll be 45 in a week. And it took me until like 4 years ago to go like, okay, in all the problems, and I had anger. The same kind of anger for like 15 years. Sadness, depression, years and years. And I went like, what's the common denominator? Well, I'm the common denominator. I'm the thing. Which means it's my fault. I'm the one that sees the problem. It's my fault. Nobody else is responsible for doing all of that. And I can continue on. I can run the same programs and feel the same ways and continue on. Then I know what the rest of my life is going to be like, and that's miserable. Because what we're all looking for, when we say love, what we're all looking for is comfort.